Hello, Internet, and welcome to SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki. I'm joined, as always, by the faithful, the loyal Mark Sullivan.
Hello.
And she's back, 3 times the charm, Delilah Lugo.
What's up?
In case you missed it, folks, we just did a spoiler cast for Uncharted 4, but for those of you who have not finished the game, and please go finish it, it's great, we're going to talk a little bit in purely non-spoiler sense. We talked a lot about the story in our spoiler cast. I figured let's talk about it more in terms of gameplay, just in more general terms. Let's start with you, Mark, broadly, I guess. Yeah, more broadly. Mark, let's start with you. What are your biggest takeaways there?
Best Uncharted game by far. I reviewed it. If you haven't read my review, it doesn't spoil anything past Chapter 5. Spoilers are all within the spoiler cast that went up today or yesterday, I guess, by the time this episode goes up.
It went up today.
Well, by the time this episode goes up, it'll probably be...
Oh, yeah, it'll be yesterday, yeah.
But, yeah, my review doesn't spoil anything past Chapter 5, very elementary story stuff, so you can go read that to get a general idea of what I thought of this game, and I loved it. Gave it a perfect 5 out of 5 score. They improved upon the Uncharted formula so well, from, gunplay to just exploration. The addition of the grappling hook was a very welcome addition. And yeah, we won't get into the story, but the story is by far the most mature and emotional tale that they've ever told.
I would agree with that. Delilah?
Let's just say Uncharted 4 took my game of the year from Dark Souls 3.
Damn. You're a big Dark Souls fan, too.
I don't see that changing at all. It was, like you said, the best Uncharted, the most grounded story. Every chapter wasn't just climbing and fighting alternate routes. Like, you had chapters where you're on it, being dragged down by a rope and shooting enemies while you're being dragged by a truck. And it's just beautiful, gorgeous, the most gorgeous game I've ever seen. I must have taken 50 screenshots. I have probably more hours taking screenshots than actually playing the game.
One thing I don't actually think I really touched on enough in my review, I kind of hinted at it, but I didn't really talk about it much. I don't know about you guys, but did it feel like there were less combat encounters in this game?
Definitely.
Yes.
And I took that away as a very, very good thing, because Uncharted has always felt like it's bogged down by how often you're just walking into a room and for whatever reason, you'll be exploring a cave, and you'll be going through the cave trying to find the next piece of the puzzle, and there's dudes down there. How did you know to be down here? How did you know I was coming? That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah,
and in this game, there was a lot less of that disconnect. There were a lot less combat encounters. The combat encounters, I think part of the reason there were a lot less was because the combat encounters were so much more open. They were bigger scale combat encounters. It wasn't just going down a hallway and fighting them as you go down the hallway. You're put into this big open sandbox area, and you can fight them, you can leave them. And
right.
As a result,
they're better
of that,
designed.
It felt a lot better. Yeah, it was much better designed.
And I felt that it allowed for a lot more approaches. Obviously, I used actually stealth a lot more than I thought in this game.
Oh yeah. Me too. They it actually it almost felt like combat encounters were really inspired, and it's not even really that true, but it almost feels like it a lot from Metal Gear.
Yeah.
That's
what I was gonna say.
And stuff like that.
Yeah. You could mark enemies and you could sneak around them and take them all out via stealth, and it's easier to do that than it might be to shoot somebody, alert everybody to your presence, and then you could re-hide yourself if you get out of their line of sight long enough, and they'll lose where you are and you go back into stealth mode. It felt very, very much like that combat.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say maybe the AI in Metal Gear is a little more intelligent. You get caught a little faster. but like I liked how they had that meter on top of the enemy when they're like getting close to noticing you.
Yeah.
And then, you can just like retreat or like hide behind something and then, go at it a different way. So I thought that was cool.
And then on top of those combat enhancements, we in Uncharted 3 we had a lot of enhancements to the melee combat, and that was very evident from that game, and they somehow managed to make that even better with this one. It's so much more cinematic when you're doing melee combat. It's so much more dynamic where if you're like against a wall or near a wall, or there's an item that Drake can grab and whack someone with, when you take someone out and you don't have a primary weapon, like there's so many like different animations and whatnot that he'll just take that from them and you'll automatically have a primary weapon.
Yeah, it's mostly just visceral and visual. Like, there isn't that much mechanically introduced with it, but it's more using the environment to your advantage.
Yeah, and yeah, you're right. It's not too much of a mechanical enhancement, but it does look so damn good.
Yeah, and it had like some really cool buddy takedowns. Like I remember at the end, I was fighting with one of the buddies. I don't want to say it just to like avoid getting too into it. But just like seeing like they grab them and then you punch them and then they kick them and then they get down and it's just so cool.
Everything about this combat is it's like even if it hasn't been improved too much mechanically, which I think with gunplay it's most improved, but it definitely just looks a lot better. A lot more. They really took the whole cinematic feeling and they enhanced that tenfold.
Definitely. Yeah. And just in terms of the gunplay, I felt like the guns felt perfect.
Oh yeah. There was a whole thing with Uncharted 3 where people noticed that they tweaked how guns worked and stuff. And I didn't really notice it at first, but upon reading that and upon playing through Uncharted 3 again, I realized, yeah, the guns do feel a lot different. And this almost felt like a return to form, and the guns felt really satisfying to use. Mm-hmm. And not to mention the variety is insane.
Yeah, you can get a pirate pistol, like a legit a muzzle-loaded pistol. Yeah,
flintlock. This I think this is the first Uncharted game I played through where I didn't actually get to use all of the weapons in like one playthrough.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just never wound up using them all.
Neither did I. Yeah, and it's funny in multiplayer. I was building a loadout and there was a weapon in there. I didn't even realize it was in the game.
Yeah?
It was, what was it? One of the machine guns. I think it's called the Stoner, which I have no idea why you would call a machine gun the Stoner.
Maybe it fires stones at people.
I don't know.
Bullets. Maybe it fires blunts. I don't know.
Oh, that'd be a dank machine gun.
That was all pure conjecture here.
Yeah, so like I feel like the stealth mechanic, that was like inevitable that those stealth mechanics would creep in there, because that's really, if you notice, that's happening across the AAA. Across AAA development, like all big action games have that shit now.
I'd say like for the past 3 or 4 years, it's been steadily creeping its way into most AAA action games.
How'd you guys feel about just general mobility? I mean, you already touched on the rope a bit, but like just generally, how did climbing feel to you? Because I mean, in the past, climbing was probably my least favorite part of these games, just traversing around the levels. And there's a lot more of that in this game, but it didn't bother me at all.
Yeah, I always loved the climbing, but now I never had that issue where I'm trying to jump to another ledge and then I just like fall because like I jump like the wrong way or something. Like I think I barely fell unless I did something stupid. Like it was just a lot more clean, like, in that aspect.
See, I have that problem all of the time. So I'm not the best person to ask about that. Like, playing through the other 3 Uncharted games, I constantly just made dumb jumps that would, like, I was yelling at my TV, like, Drake, why didn't you grab that? Like, what the hell?
I felt like there were better visual cues, just animation-wise, to let you know that you could make jumps, which made it a lot easier.
It did. The game being a lot prettier, I feel also enhanced these visual cues. It was also nice to see, like, different visual cues than just like, oh, that's yellow, so I know I can jump on that one, or stuff like that.
red.
One thing I kind of wish they did start using it a lot more towards the end. And we saw it in one of the demos that they showed. It was that python, that spike that Drake gets.
Yeah.
I wish that was introduced a little earlier.
So do I. Yeah.
In the game, but it did start to get a lot more use towards the end. So I feel like it still got it still made its worth. But I still kind of wish I still wish that the utilization of it was more evenly distributed.
I agree. And same, I think. Well, actually, no. I think the vehicles got or I should say vehicle, really just the 4x4.
Oh, there was a boat too.
Oh, that's right. I forgot the boat.
Had some dank boat action.
There was some boat action, some pirate action, if you will. But I mean, the bulk of the vehicle sections was the 4x4, and I mean that actually ended up being my favorite segment of the game.
Same.
Was the segment. A lot of it was shown during that E3. I forget which E3 it was. But
it was last E3.
Was it the last one? Yeah. The part that leads up into Drake, hooking onto that crane and hanging on the bridge. But I'm talking about the part before that, all the way back. It almost plays out like a fucking Jason Bourne car chase. And the level is so well designed that it's almost impossible for you to fuck up and like drive into a dead end. Like, you have to really try. The way they intricately design that city, there's always like another route you can take. Every time you play through that section, it's different. And it's just so visceral and awesome, and like your car actually wrecks shit. Like, it feels like you're dealing damage. It was just so well done, I felt, and the controls for the vehicles were surprisingly pretty tight.
Very tight, for sure.
The vehicles in this game controlled better than the vehicles in Watch Dogs.
Yeah.
So what does that?
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Or Grand Theft Auto 5, for that matter.
I can't speak to Grand Theft Auto 5, but
I don't know. I don't know if it's as good or better, but it's up there.
I mean, they also didn't really have to put much into it. All we really needed to do was brake and accelerate. So
that is true. To be fair, yeah.
Like, you definitely felt the mud in certain parts when it was more deep and wet.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just loved it. It was amazing.
So is there anything else big gameplay wise you guys wanted to touch on?
I just want to say go play this game, because it's got to be the best game on PS4. It's definitely the best Uncharted game. It's
already stealing everybody, including Delilah's Goy Game of the Year award.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we got a ton of, aside from this, we got a ton of Uncharted 4 content out there. We got our spoiler cast, which is currently up. And you can also check out, Mark and I have been streaming that multiplayer. Yeah. So come check us out on Fridays. We're on Twitch right now. I think we might be moving to YouTube streaming.
We still have yet to discuss that, but we'll figure that out.
You can check our Twitters at SolidQuas and at Nibblehimian for updates on that. So we got a lot of stuff coming out. Oh, and Mark's review, of course, on www.theouterhaven.net.
Like I said, it doesn't spoil anything past Chapter 5, which is all still very, very immediately early story stuff. So, and it's also nothing that you haven't seen in past trailers and gameplay things that they've pointed out in the past. So,
all right. So at this point, I'm putting the gavel down. We have talked. At least in terms of just focusing on this game, we have talked enough. We have put enough material out there. We are moving on.
But
we're moving on.
You did bring up, we brought up earlier, stealth in AAA action games.
I smell a segue.
Smell a segue? I have a segue.
That smelly smell.
What's going on with stealth in AAA action games?
I don't know, but there's a dude who made that shit mainstream.
Who's that?
He wears glasses. He's got funny hair.
I like funny hair.
He likes Guillermo del Toro.
I like Guillermo del Toro.
They may or may not hook up in hotel rooms.
Yeah, they probably do.
That guy's a little troll, some might call him, called Hideo Kojima.
Oh, that guy! I love that guy. All right.
Yeah, he's a funny little dude.
Yeah, he is.
So he recently did an interview with Famitsu. If you're not familiar with Famitsu, it's like the gaming journalism source in Japan.
Yo, man, I have Famitsu magazines on my shelf right now.
Oh, look at me! I'm Mark. I've been to Japan. I'm so cool. I can speak some Japanese. I have actual ramen noodles from Japan.
No, I don't. I wish I did.
Anyway, we're gonna talk about at least some of the tidbits. This is a translation. Just got to give a shout out to Silicon Era, sorry, for their translation of this interview.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Those guys are awesome.
They are awesome. They do a lot of this, taking Japanese sources and translating them for the rest of us who, unlike Mark, don't speak Japanese.
The Nihongonese.
But, so obviously this is all following kind of this, he's kind of had a dramatic saga going on, or saga, I'm sorry, whereby, saga, yeah. Anyway, he's had a lot of drama surrounding him regarding his relationship with Konami. Obviously, this all boiled over with Metal Gear Solid 5, it being rushed out in a semi-unfinished state, some would say. And obviously, after that game came out, his name was kind of wiped from the game, or Konami tried their best to wipe it from the game, and they didn't split on the best of terms.
And then you load up the game, and
every single mission has credits with his name, yeah. Which obviously was a little bit of, not sarcasm, humor on his part. But
he got the last laugh.
Yeah. We don't know why they split. I don't think we ever will, because Kojima's been pretty professional about it, actually. But
oh yeah,
they split, and there are some obvious bad feelings there. But for the longest time, we all know Kojima had wanted to move away from Metal Gear, and now is his chance, you know? Right. So, let's go through some of this. I have the interview up right here. So, some takeaways from this. They asked, why do you want to take time off? Or why didn't you want to take some time off? And he said, I did want to get some rest, but taking rest means my life tempo will go out of order. That's like some cheese shit. I don't know. That's weird. Here's a big one. About the logo, I can't say yet, but the secret is found in the logo. The whole body of the logo actually looks super cool, and we're planning on making it into a figure. And he talks about how, the logo, there's like a body hidden in there. So basically, Kojima confirmed that this logo has somewhere hidden within it some sort of genitalia.
Oh, God.
That's the gist. That's what I took away from that. What do you take away from that?
You know what's interesting is like when he opened this new studio, okay? And I don't know if you saw on their website, but they were offering this kit it was a shit ton of yen, and you would get it, and it was just a bunch of merchandise with this logo on it. And it's just really interesting for a studio that we don't even know what the hell they're doing, what they're working on, or we know they're working on something, but it's just interesting that he got this pedigree where he could put out some sort of kit that's hundreds of dollars that people will buy just with this logo on it. I'm guessing, I don't think he's just kidding around. Maybe this logo is some sort of big deal towards what his next project is.
Of course it is. It's like the Phantom Pain reveal where they show a huge fucking whale on the screen, and then it's like just the Phantom Pain, and Kojima does like a fake interview where he's wearing like a fucking baklava, and they expect nobody to figure out his Metal Gear Solid 5, but literally within minutes.
The next day, within the next few hours. The indentations in the logo.
But that's the thing, like either you figure it out within a few minutes with him, or it's just a troll. Because the times when he actually does show something that, actually means anything, you figure it out within a few minutes. So this is clearly just some sort of troll effort.
Well, even with this, my whole point of bringing up that kid is he could very easily make this logo into a figurine, and people will buy it like hotcakes. Right. that's the legacy and the pedigree this man has left in our eyes, I guess.
Right.
And I personally just find it hilarious.
Delilah, what do you think?
Well, I'm looking at this logo and trying to find genitalia. I definitely don't see that, but
it's hidden. You got to keep looking. And remember, it could
I'm
either
gonna keep looking. I
it
will.
could either be a penis, breasts, and a vagina, or both.
Try
We don't
looking
know.
at it. Try
It could
looking
be
at
all
it from
three.
different angles. Maybe squint your eyes. Change the lighting. I don't.
He confirmed it. It's an entire body,
The whole body.
unless it's a eunuch.
Yeah, I mean, you know, he's a legacy. That's it. He can do whatever he wants, and people will get into it, whether it sucks or not. Does this article say he's going to make a figure out of it?
He says that. He says we're planning on making it into a figure. And I don't know that the body's hidden in the logo. I think that the body is just like, it hasn't been shown yet, and that'll be shown, I guess, a bit of time or whatever. I don't really know what to expect there. But anyway,
Looks cool.
Yeah. So about the actual game. So first he talks a little bit about Sony and why he went with them. Basically, it was because Sony really didn't require from him what he called the Hollywood method, which is, actually having to pitch a game. I guess Sony is allowing him a lot more freedom than some other offers.
Well,
probably, Microsoft among them.
Let's be totally fair. I feel like Sony does that a lot with the developers they correspond with.
Of course, and that strategy has worked for them.
And especially like Kojima doesn't have to prove himself.
Yeah.
He no longer ever needs to pitch something and worry that it's not going to work out for him.
Well, apparently, from what he's saying, it sounds like some people did. They wanted to hear what he was going to be working on.
Well, I feel like everybody just wants to hear what he's working on, but I don't necessarily think that he has anything to prove.
Oh, of course not.
This man knows what he's doing. He's been a game designer since the 80s, and he spawned one of the most well-known, well-received gaming franchises of all time. He doesn't necessarily need to prove anything to anybody.
No, not at all.
And so I feel Sony, with the amount of freedom that they give devs that they work with, and him, being able to, just make incredible games, and no matter what they are, I think that just sets everything up for a perfect match.
Yeah, and I'm looking, and it says, if you like open world titles like AAA games, The Division, Uncharted, that you'll be into this. So, I think, like you said, it's a perfect match. Like, they're putting their faith into each other. Like, I've seen what you've done, you've seen what I've done, let's do this.
Right, and you bring up a good point, Delilah, about he specifically points out Uncharted and The Division, talking about the actual game itself. And he talks about how it will be, he says, here's the quote, "The genre is action." When it gets announced, some may think that it's not as way out as they had expected. So I guess by that he means it won't be as quirky as he's expected to be. But I'm sure they'll understand once they play it. So I have a feeling. I don't think this game is going to be all that different gameplay-wise from Metal Gear Solid 5. And honestly, I don't see why he would make it all that different, considering how perfect that gameplay was.
I kind of have a feeling it's gonna lean less towards stealth. I feel like that I have a feeling after how much time he's put into Metal Gear and doing stealth action, he might want to break away from that a little bit and try something slightly different. And he knows action. Like he's proven that time and time again that he knows action.
Metal Gear Solid 5, like, straight up action was a viable gameplay option.
Exactly, and it was relatively the same way in 4 as well.
Right.
With the amount of weaponry you had at your disposal. I feel like he might want to break away from stealth a little bit, especially because he hasn't brought it up. He said the genre is action. I think that's exactly what we can expect.
Yeah, of course. I think it's going to be, not... And I mean, he specifically says, again, that it's not as way out as they had expected. So, I don't know. Do you think the game will lose that kind of, that Kojima touch, if you want to call it that? If, that quirkiness behind Metal Gear that made its story so, like, special. It was almost like comic booky in a way.
I don't think it'll be as wacky to the extent of Metal Gear, but I have to imagine he's still gonna put his own twist on things. It's like in the same way that a lot of Japanese developers, like, you know, they do with their action games. Like, look at Swery 65 and Suda 41, and the way that the weird twist they put into their action games. Yeah, or like, Platinum's a great example. Like with Hideki Kamiya, like the weirdness that they put into their action games and whatnot. I have to imagine that the same. It's not a Metal Gear thing. It's a Kojima thing, and it's going to stay consistent with whatever he does.
Okay.
Not just with Metal Gear, you know.
He's also confirming once again it's open world. Do you think that's? I mean, a lot of people's. Well, I'll say a lot of hardcore players' problems with Metal Gear Solid 5 was the open world and how empty they felt it.
His exact quote, just to be fair, is, "I won't say that it's an open world title, but those that enjoy playing today's AAA titles, such as Division and Uncharted, will be able to play it smoothly."
I'm sorry, I misread that. I just saw open world. Once again, my co-host correcting me.
There we go. That's what I'm here for. I think it could be open world. It might not be open world. We know that it's gonna, at the very least, it's going to have some sort of variability to the environments that you're in. If he's referring to the Division and Uncharted.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, as we saw with Uncharted 4, some sections of that game you could describe somewhat as open world.
Yeah.
If not, I mean, almost. They are just super vast.
Just wide open, like, areas. Which is different for that franchise in general. Go ahead.
I was just gonna close kind of this topic with just each of us, like, kind of just going around, and obviously his last game was Metal Gear Solid 5, and I won't say it got mixed reception because it critically, like, got tons of great scores. I mean,
and commercially it sold very well.
Yeah, and it sold huge. But amongst, like, the hardcore Kojima fans, like, there was some dissent. Like, people were not totally happy with it, if not, like, downright hating on it. I don't know. How did you guys feel about that game? And what do you think it means for him going forward as a developer?
I platinumed that game, and the open world was a problem for me, but not so much because it was open world. You just couldn't traverse around the open world as freely as I would have liked to. Like, you always had, like, mountains in the way, and you had to, like, go around to get to, like, an area that's really, like, not that far, but you have to go to the helicopter to travel somewhere else.
It felt like a fake open world.
Yeah, it was a fake open world. Like, if you didn't have D-Horse, like, that's it. Like, you were taking forever to get from point A to B, or you just had to, you know, use the helicopter to travel. Other than that, the gameplay was amazing. Like, I had no complaints about that. My only other complaint was the story was it was just very slow, and I skipped a lot of cutscenes towards the end because I was just bored.
Damn.
Mark, I know you have feelings about this game.
Yeah, I have opinions. I wholeheartedly agree with feeling bogged down by the open world. And you know what? There would have been a really, really easy fix, which is you could have just called in a helicopter, and then if they just let you take, like, without even leaving, just let the helicopter take you to a different drop zone. That would have fixed the entire problem. But I had the exact same issue. Like, especially when you're in Afghanistan, those mountains become a massive burden trying to navigate around them. So sometimes that open world did feel like a detriment. As for fan reception towards the game, that mostly I felt just had to do with how the ending was handled, and the fact that we're never going to get another Metal Gear again. Or at least not a Kojima-made Metal Gear. And that's how it wrapped up. It was somewhat of a disappointment. I wrote an editorial on that, back in October? Maybe November?
Yeah, the game came out in September, I remember. So
yeah, I mean, if you want to, you can, since we're discussing it, if you want to link that when this article goes up, like, that's fine with me. But I wrote an editorial about, and it spoils the ending for Metal Gear Solid 5, but I feel like what I wrote, what I had to say, kind of sums up how most hardcore fans of that franchise felt. Because the game wasn't necessarily a disappointment, but the ending kind of was.
See, on the flip side, I consider myself a huge hardcore fan of that series, and I actually liked the ending.
See, I didn't. It's not that I didn't like it. It's just that there could have been more to it. Like I liked how it ended, but there wasn't enough of it. You know?
No, I agree on that.
And,
that it wasn't. There wasn't the proper build up to it. It was kind of sparse.
And if you want to know more about what I'm talking about, you can find it on YouTube. But otherwise, before that,
I mean, we can just talk about it. It's been like almost a year at this point. I mean, the big reveal at the end is that you haven't been playing as Venom Snake. You've been playing as, or wait, no, you haven't been playing as the big boss. You've been playing as. I don't think they even gave him a name. He was just the medic from the beginning.
He was basically a proxy.
He was a decoy.
Yeah, he was a decoy named Venom Snake, and that's why they never referred to him as like Big Boss, or at least not many people did. They refer to him as Boss, but at least like I mean in the marketing. But we find that out. But the thing I wanted to talk about was you can find it on YouTube. Previously, it was only on the Blu-ray disc that was in the collector's edition. The cut ending, the cut last mission. Do you guys know about this?
Vaguely, I've heard about it, but go on, continue.
It's the whole thing where they go to the one island where Eli and all the kids escaped to.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't remember all these specifics about it. You can find it on YouTube. It was the cut last mission that was supposed to be the actual ending to the game, and it would have cut up, or it would have tied up a lot of loose ends that were kind of left loose as a result of the whole, rushing the game out the door thing that everyone likes to say. And
that's also important because Eli, if I remember correctly, he's supposed to be liquid, right?
Yeah.
So just to stop us real quick from delving too deep into Metal Gear lore, because I'm sure we could both go on about that forever.
Have a whole, episode about that.
Basically, I fucking loved Phantom Pain, although I do agree about traversal in the open world. I just loved the fact that I could turn on a Walkman in the game, listen to Europe, play a Final Countdown, and just call in massive artillery strikes on the enemy base.
That wasn't even the best song.
What was the best song?
Take On Me by Aha.
No, dude.
Yeah, man.
Sorry. No. The best song in the game was, what was the David Bowie song they had in there?
Oh, you mean the Midge Uri cover?
Yeah.
Who Sold the World?
Yeah.
Yo, Delilah, what was your favorite song?
That one was up there for sure. I mean, it was in the intro and the outro, so I didn't really go through all the songs that I collected, but I guess that was my favorite one.
Okay.
So
also, shout out to that Joy Division song.
Yeah.
Tear Us Apart. Oh, gorgeous. Makes me cry every time.
What do you guys think about Phantom Pain? Do you think... So a lot of people are assuming, especially with these comments, I mean, I said it multiple times, he's saying AAA game, maybe open world, the genre is action, it will play very similar. Do you think, he's pretty much just gonna take the script from Metal Gear Solid 5 and recode it going forward?
No. Now he's been. What do you mean by take the? What do you mean by that? Take the written script or take the code?
No. I don't mean the code. When I say script, I mean just the skeleton. In terms of just.
I see.
In terms of just controls, the action mechanics, his version of an open world, and basically just throw a new code on it. Is whatever we see next really just going to be an iteration on Phantom Pain, or do you think he'll really break out and it will be something crazy semi-fighting game mechanics in a super mecha Zone of the Enders type deal?
I hope he takes the best things from Phantom Pain and then goes crazy with it.
The way I see it, he's been wanting to break out of Metal Gear since 2.
Of course, yeah.
Which came out in 2001. That's Phantom Pain came out last year, so that's 14 years that he stayed with that series after wanting to get out of it. I don't think he wants to make a spiritual successor or a game in that same vein. I really genuinely do feel that he wants to do something different. Especially now he's working on a game specifically for Sony, who is giving him a lot of creative freedom. I really think he's going to utilize that creative freedom.
I agree, and I hope he does. But then, of course, the cynical business side of me says, like they all say, the satisfaction, the lust for that satisfaction will never go away, Every time he makes a game, everybody's going to want that same thing. And then they'll get it and they won't be satisfied.
Yeah, well, they'll have to deal. I'll be satisfied.
Nobody's getting my reference.
Fucking,
it's cool, though.
I know I do get your reference, but we can't talk about that.
Anyway, folks, we've timed out. The clock's run out. So, what do you guys think about Kojima? Is he just trolling us? I mean, these comments are vague as fuck. Like, is any of this relevant to what we think the final product will be? I mean, keep in mind this game is like 4 or 5 years down the line. Like, I doubt they've even started pre-production on this.
I'll go.
They're just
2
getting
3 years.
Okay, fair enough. Like, so you're saying, like, let's take bets right now, actually, because now our last set of bets is done.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say 5 years.
I'm gonna go 2 to 3 years.
No, you gotta pick one. You gotta pick one.
I want to keep it variable. But this is where my bold prediction is gonna come out. I think he's gonna reveal his game at PlayStation Experience this year.
Okay, but are you going with 2 or 3 years?
No, I'm keeping that part variable.
You can't. No, you can't. You gotta pick 1 year.
Really?
That's not fair.
All right, 2 years.
All right, Delilah.
I suck at these things, but I'm gonna go with 5.
Cool.
Boy.
If I have to pick a different number,
the same as mine?
3.
Yeah. 3? So 2, 3, and 5. Okay. Wait a minute. In that case, I'm just going to change mine to 4.
Nope, can't do that.
Alright, fine. I'll keep it at 5. Folks, this has been SonyCentric, the Outerhaven's official PlayStation podcast. We are now all on the record as to when we think Kojima's next game will come out. When do you think it will come out? Let us know in the comments. And please let us know how we're doing with this podcast. We live to serve you, folks. So please, tell us, do we suck? Are we cool? Are we sexy? How does our voice sound? Are we nasally? All that kind of shit.
You're nasally.
If we're doing good and you like this video, please hit that like button. And as always, down at the bottom, subscribe. Right there, subscribe for more content. You click on that shit, it'll go straight to our homepage at the Outerhaven net. All the way over at YouTube. All the way over. You're on YouTube right now. So www.youtube.com/theouterhavennet, where you can see all the rest of the Outerhaven Productions content. You can subscribe, check out other cool podcasts like Experience, like our official Outerhaven podcast, like the A1 Anime podcast. All that shit. Check it out. That was really fast. A lot of information went out.
Got a little bit of a head rush, don't you?
Yeah. Whew.
Busy.
As always, folks, I'm your host, Jason Kwasnicki. I've been joined today by Mark Sullivan and Delilah Lugo. Peace out, Internet.
Later.
Adios.